But you have noble core values. You have values for your family. You have respect, self-respect. That's where it begins. All right, you have values. You actually understand what a man and a woman is. We don't need to change even the dictionary, change its definition. You know what it is. Again, I'm Coach Nazir, one of the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships. I also one of the co-authors of Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. For those of you who do not know me, I practice polygyny. I'm married to 2 women, Coach Fatimah and Coach Nyla. For those of you who do know me, what's up? So, peace. Let me know where you're chiming in from, what country you're in, what time zone you're in, or whatnot. Because today we're going to be speaking about really approaching polygyny, and I have it's more of a webinar format, so I'm not just going to be speaking. I just have a live stream. We go a little bit deeper today, just because we know that's what people need to be doing, going a whole lot deeper when it comes to understanding polygyny and the different things it takes. And I'm going to be speaking more to men. I see the UK represented out in the UK, United Kingdom, where it's 4:30 p.m. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone gives me salam, so see them and sometimes repeat. Otherwise, I will see them, of course, respond. If you are watching via YouTube or Facebook, you will see my presentation, if you will, right on your screen. I will be sharing that shortly. Khalid, welcome from Guyana. Good to see you participating and being here. And if you do have questions, I will be addressing them toward the end. You'll see a number of things coming across the screen on the bottom with question marks, letting you know how to ask questions. So you put question marks first, and prayerfully I'll be able to get to them. We'll spend about 90 minutes. And again, like I said, we're going deep into polygyny. And if you haven't been paying attention on a few different things that we've been talking about recently, at least on our YouTube channel and in our private community, then you might feel a little bit behind. But if you're new, or if you're single, or if you're already practicing polygyny, you wonder what's going on. You know, like in North Carolina, Back to Nature says been doing polygyny and practicing polygyny for now 19 years. Congratulations. You got 7 years on me. That's what's up. I don't know if you're part of our private community, but hey, maybe some stories, successes, challenges, failures, or whatnot may be able to help. Nevertheless, here's how the format is going to go tonight, or this morning, or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Again, what city, what country, what your name is. With salam, say peace. I like to know that, and let people know, again, where you're from, whether or not you practice polygyny or not, looking to practice polygyny. You need to put all your business out there. But I would like to know back and forth. Now, preferably the audio is good. The audio wasn't good, which caused a slight delay. And the video wasn't catching. So I'm a little perturbed by that, and we'll be doing some troubleshooting tonight or later this afternoon when I can figure out what's happening, because I love technology, but it's a love-hate relationship. So I'm Coach Nazir. I am the coach known for helping people get their shift together. All right, so I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I'm absolutely serious when it comes to shift. One of the things I know is that a smart or intelligent person will learn from their mistakes, but a wise person will learn from their mistakes as well as others' mistakes. So I recently just did a video and shared it about one of the big mistakes I made in polygyny is when I compared what I was doing in business and my leadership style and everything I had to do there to lead people emotionally and training and so on to my family life. Now the structure can work well, but when you just say, oh, if I do this here and I parallel it at home in a similar fashion, that does not mesh well, because when you're running a business or you're running an organization, you can hire people, fire people, you can do all of these things, right? But you can't really just hire your children, hire your wife, and fire your wife. It's not the same. Especially with things like my mentor stuff, be slow to hire and quick to fire. That type of philosophy is not easy in the household. It doesn't fly well. So I'm going to share with you a number of different mistakes and challenges just so that you can learn from them. People say, experience is the best teacher. That's trash. That's actually not true. We don't have enough time in our lives to experience everything. That'd be foolish. I don't need to experience crack to understand it. It's bad. Not that I have experienced it up close with other people using it. See, I was destroyed families. Yeah, I was born in the 70s. So that whole 80s and 90s thing was definitely infecting people. So I didn't have to use it. Don't want to use it. Period. Not gonna happen. Right? So I don't have to experience every single thing in order for it to be recognized as bad or good. That's called the trial and error method. The problem is that takes forever. Then you're trialing error. It kind of reminds me of Cat Williams, right? Then you try stuff, don't work. You try it again, you try it again. There's some truth to consistency, but that doesn't mean you have to go through every single thing yourself. Again, an intelligent person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person not only learns from theirs, they also learn from others. And I have to share that with you because I made a whole lot of mistakes at the beginning of my polygamous journey. So if you can learn from them, please do. I'm a strong believer in collapsing time frames. I don't think that it needs to take you 5, 10, 100 months to really learn all of these different things in life. If I could take a way to amalgamate the knowledge and information and make it compact, and I get the results that I want to achieve in 5 weeks versus 5 years, give me the 5 weeks. I'm willing to pay for that. I'm willing to study, take copious notes, and move forward. So I say that all as a preface to let's get into this right now. All right, approaching polygyny in 2022, 1444 on the Hijri calendar. All right, part of our masterclass series. We'll talk about that shortly. All right, cool. Now, there are 4 requisites for success when it comes to a man of value. And for those of you who don't, I've already spoken about what a man of value is. Some people use the term high value man. I really don't like that term because it doesn't speak to manhood. It just speaks to a person's financial status, if you will. So, so a high value man can be somebody like Donald Trump. All right. Some people may say, yo, that's a high value man, which according to the basic definition, at least the urban dictionary of life, is that, yeah, he is. All right. It is what it is. So somebody represent from Cameroon. That's what's up. Dope Law, see you, man. Good to see you, bro. Talib, of course. Shawnee, Archie, yeah, see, you made it. Good stuff. So here are the requisites. And I really think that there are 5. There are 5 core requisites, and there's something that I believe should be the foundation of all marriages, one way or the other, no matter what form. So, of course, there's sound mental health. See, one of the challenges is that many of us don't screen in the premarital period, not just regarding polygyny. Well, they don't do that at all, even when it comes to monogamy. When it comes to mental health, how's this person, how they date or they do certain things that they kind of make up their own mind. But sound mental health is very, very important. One of the reasons, let me give you an example. I was just aware, it's been about a month now. So in the last month, there have been at least 6 women murdered, all right, in the city I was born and raised. All right, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 6 women murdered. All right, intimate partner violence. Some were wives, some girlfriends, and some were friends of somebody else who was in a violent relationship. That is not normal behavior for a man to go and just beat up on a woman and dominate her and kill her. It's not normal. It's not normal. So sound mental health, and we're not going to dive all the way just into this part in different resources even, but this is a fundamental pillar, not just for polygyny, but for any man of value to succeed in marriage, especially polygyny. These things are essential for all parties. Sound mental health. Another example, not as extreme as the one I just mentioned, is that you're married to someone you can't even have a discussion of polygyny. You can't even talk about polygamy in general. You can't talk about the show. You can't go scroll past something on Netflix. You can't have that issue without, now there's defensiveness. There's, oh, you want to have, so you want to do that. That's not normal jealousy. All right. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody is just mentally handicapped or has a mental issue, but there are signs. There are signs. There's a show called, it just reminds me, it's a show called Snapped. And on Snapped, or even 2020 and Dateline will have these shows like on Friday nights where a spouse has murdered another spouse, whether it's a husband murdering wife, wife murdering husband. Yes, it is a little tragic, an example, but it goes into this jealousy. all right, to an extreme. All right, so again, sound mental health. Next is capable physical health, and I'm talking to the men here. Capable physical health, of course, for all parties, but especially for a man, because now as a man, you have rights and responsibilities. And one of the things that you are looked up to and for in general is security. Part of that security is your strength. And on the base level, just your physical strength. I mean, if a dog is coming at you, something like that, you want your family, you got to protect your family, you got to run, throw somebody on the fence, whatever you have to do, you got to be physically capable. All right. If your physical health is deteriorating or not good, there's no other part of life that's really going to be good. Every part of your life is going to be affected, whether it's running a business, whether it's you be as a husband, all right, in more ways than one, as a father in more ways than one, as a businessman, all right. Someone in poor physical health usually is also a poor mental health because this is a drain. And I see King Esau in here, and I see him online in the gym representing getting physically strong. So that's what's up. Now, of course, emotional intelligence. And this one can be tricky. It can be very tricky. Let me give an example. Vulnerability. Like we've been talking about this vulnerability thing. Like it's always hot to be vulnerable. You should be able to be vulnerable, blah, 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 right? And in general, that's kind of true. But in reality, there are many restrictions that must be put on that as a man. Because as a man, you're thinking, okay, I can be vulnerable up until there's an argument and you use all the stuff I was vulnerable about and throw it back in my face. So having emotional intelligence is knowing when it's actually safe and when you have to understand that just as a man, we tend to emote, we go inward because we are not built the same. You know, women can go and they cry it out and talk to the girlfriends in general, again, I'm speaking, but knowing the difference is having that emotional intelligence, knowing when to listen and understand that someone doesn't want a solution from you. We're solution oriented. You tell me something, I'm like, oh, trying to figure this out. Let me solve the problem. I'm the man, blah, blah, blah. That's how I'm wired. I don't really want to talk about something just to talk about it. Like, you want to talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. Let's solve it. Let's move on. But knowing the difference and when it's important to listen and actively listen, than to just jump out at the beginning and help provide a solution. Or part of your emotional intelligence is also recognizing when and whom you can let your guard down with, and who you need to be more aware of, if that makes sense. Sometimes you cannot explain it because maybe it's just part of your intuition. Maybe it's a part of your neocortex, which is formed before your frontal cortex, so you can't even verbalize. This stuff is done before we even have language. There's just a bad gut feeling about someone or something. So emotional intelligence, learning the differences and the distinctions are very important. Now, of course, one of my favorite here is leadership ability. This means that this area here with leadership is demonstrable. It's demonstrable. So you as a man, a requisite for your success in any area of life, especially when it comes to polygyny, you have to be able to lead, beginning with yourself. That goes against self-awareness, self-discipline, a whole bunch of things under this umbrella. But this is one of my favorite because this is a skill. This is something that can be learned. Doesn't matter whether you're introvert, an extrovert, and for those you don't know, I'm an introvert. I am an introvert. I can be here and I can be speaking only because I had mentors and people that believe more in me than I believe myself. And they taught me, one, about communication. They taught me about leadership, building teams, having emotional intelligence, learning different eight different intelligences and so on. So I had people stretch me because they said, look, if I take you like a rubber band and I stretch you really, really far without snapping it, it'll never be able to go back to its original size. So when you're stretched, you have to continue to grow. And since I was learning these principles when I was learning business, which I shared in a video yesterday about one of my big poly mistakes, is that, you know what? It's important that you grow as you're growing your finances so that you're able to keep your money. Otherwise, your money's going to snap back to the level you are. So whether you're talking about the on top of the world, Stanley, who was MC Hammer, I think is his name, Stanley, and he had all this dough and all this money, huge entourage and everything, and the money snapped back to where he was. Or Tyson at the time, over $1 billion, snapped back to almost nothing. Now he's growing it back and more maturity and everything else. But he had to grow again, more maturity and everything else, leadership ability. Then we have to talk about being fiscally fit. Yes, fiscally fit, not physically fit, fiscally fit. All right, making sure you understand, one, how to get currency. And I say that specifically because many of us haven't seen money, haven't touched money, don't know the 6 characteristics of actual money. All right, which, of course, is gold and silver, but fiscally fit in the many different opportunities. And these are the times that I'm telling you, When you study with Robert Kiyosaki, for example, right, in his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, talks about the time that most wealth is created are times like these, recessions and depressions. If you study, I'm pretty sure nobody's been around since the Roaring '20s, right? And the Depression that followed in the '90s. But the many businesses and the different things that occurred during the Depression that created wealth and entire shifts in the way money came. So, anybody can make money when the tides are going up and the markets are going up. Anybody make money seem like geniuses. But those who know make money when the markets are going down. And I'm telling you, if you don't know the difference between a call and a put, then there's some basics that you have to understand with this. And I'm going to give you a quick tip right here if you don't know. Order the board game, Cash Flow 101. Cash Flow 101, it's a Robert Kiyosaki board game. I think it's around 70, 80 bucks or something like that on Amazon or eBay, whatever. See my feet over on IG. They're bad. Anyway, a Cash Flow 101, you learn more in that game playing it one time for a few hours than entire college education, according to some friends of mine who are financial planners and even different financial analysts for major corporations. Nevertheless, fiscally fit, very important. Those are the 5 pillars right there. Those are 5 pillars. You have the sound mental health, capable physical health, emotional intelligence, leadership ability, and being fiscally fit. Those are crucial. Those right there set you apart from the trivial many. The trivial many. Now here's the thing, there's one word that applies in every one of these areas. See, you may not necessarily be fiscally fit right now. People say, how much money do I need to make? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on where you are in the world. It depends on where you are in the world and where you are in the country. It's totally different if you're going to be in New York or LA, than Houston, or somewhere else in the Midwest, for example. Or if you're in Turkey, or if you're in Gambia, or if you're in Malaysia. So it really depends. Now, I love and prefer passive income versus active income. Active where, it's depending on you having to work. Where passive income is you can work for a little bit of time and get paid over and over and over. Again, if you're not familiar with these terms, no worries. I mean, we cover them in our courses and stuff like that. But when it comes to polygyny in particular, since we're going to talk about it in a second, you're talking about some measurables, and I'll get into it in a second. Get into it right now. Next part, noble core values. Now, here are the facts. A man of value has values. A man of value has values. They may not be the same, and I'm not talking about necessarily religious values, but there are values that are respected. Values like honesty, those are internationally respected. Values like lying are internationally not respected, no matter the culture or the background. But you have noble core values. You have values for your family. You have respect, self-respect. That's where it begins. All right, you have values. You actually understand what a man and a woman is. We don't need to change even the dictionary, change its definition. You know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So having noble core values means a lot. For me, it was summed up by some mentors of mine. I adopted it. I didn't come up with it. I adopted it. He said, it's faith, family, finances. Faith, family, and finances. So as an example, I'm a Muslim. I'm practicing Muslim. I'm Islam. Now, was I always at the no? I was raised as Christian, accepted Islam in my teens after vigorous study and disowning all religions and everything else. And I actually went to Islam. I didn't go to Islam. I went to the Quran to try to prove it wrong. I wasn't looking for Islam. I didn't even study it. I respected it because of Malcolm and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not into organized religion. So I thought I was going to prove it wrong. And I was objective and it submitted me. All the scientific proofs and everything else. But again, that's my story. So I hold faith first, above family. Now, family, I have a philosophy with that as well. So you have family and you have relatives. See, one of the things is that they're not the same. If they were the same, there would only be a need for one word. It can be family or it can be relatives. See, with family, for me, I define that as those who are supportive and going in the way that you're going, supportive of you. They love you and what you're on. They will correct you when you're wrong. They will help support you. They ain't shady. I have relatives, don't care about it, will get a damn my life. They may have rights over me, and I treat them nice. But that doesn't mean they're welcome to my home or around my children. Understand? So you have family versus relatives. And what helped me understand that was the Quran. And Prophet Noah, for example, his son, whom he was preaching to and teaching to and calling and doing da'wah. Didn't believe. So now I'm going to go up on this mountain. I'll be good. It's raining and flood and everything else. And what happened? He died. He called up to Allah Ta'ala, asked me, Allah, I thought you were going to save my family. Allah Ta'ala let him know he's not with your family. I got it. I understood what that means. I understood what means. Family believers is nothing except brothers. So for me, family and relatives is something different. So it's faith, family, and finances. And then, I get asked, why is finances so close? Why is it up in the top 3? And I say, you have to really think about it. What part of your life does finances not touch? Does it not touch your faith and how much you give away and start up in charity? Does it not touch how you can give away stuff anonymously? How you can donate to create wells, donate to a masjid, to donate to worthy causes, to help children, to help orphans? Does it not do that? Yeah, it absolutely does. And here's the crazy thing about charity. Even though it looks like a loss, you still do that for you, for that feeling and everything it gives to you, and you can't go broke by giving charity. So see how that faith governs that? So if your finances deal with your faith, which if that is your number one core value, at least to me it is. Now, does it also determine your options when it comes to your family? Absolutely does, doesn't it? It determines on where you live, where your zip code is. It determines on what investment you have access to. Something called the fast track actually exists. And if you play the game Cash Flow 101 I'm telling you about, then you'll recognize actually set up by government. You have to have over 250,000 coming in. You have to have a certain amount of assets. All this stuff is actually called the fast track. So these are other investments that you can't get access to unless you are part of this crew. You know what I'm saying? So it does determine the level of quality of life. It does. It does determine whether or not you're familiar with roaches, you're familiar with being hungry and going to bed without meals, or you're feeling hungry on the street, somebody else looking like hot food. All right, there are crimes that are considered crimes of poverty. All right, poverty is not a virtue. So faith, family, and finances, it affects everything. Everything. That doesn't mean you chase it. It means you learn it and make it chase you. Because it makes a wonderful slave with a horrible master. That's part of noble core values. Now, these again are requisites. I've put forward. Yeah, I added fiscally fit a little later because, yeah. But then there's 6 on the page, right? But there's really 5, and the noble core values is the 6th. But this isn't in the course. This is you guys right now. All right, so let me see. As we go to the next slide, see Colleen, Yusuf, Law, Satan, Cameroon, Thalib, Shawnee, Isa, Ak. Tez, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. And Shawnee, all right, what's up? See y'all up in here representing. All right, so here's the thing. Measurables versus tangibles. This is the basics when it comes to polygamy. You don't get more basic than this. All right, measurables. These are the things, of course, you can measure. Hence, it's called a measurable. 2 things with this. You got finances, you got time. Finances, you have time. That's why you have to increase your financial intelligence or your financial acumen and become financially astute. I'm not saying financially, but yeah, it is what it is. So a solid financial base. So again, when you're financially astute, you know where your dough is coming from. And I prefer, again, that it's passive. So whether you have real estate, you have rents coming in, or different investments that are continuing to increase, whether you invest in different businesses, you get returns on them. But passive income is super dope. Why? Because number 2, that's a strong part of contingency plan. Should something happen to you, should something happen to a business, something happen to a job if you're working, that dough still comes in. See, Cash Flow 101, and I'm glad I recommended this at the beginning. The goal of the game is to get out of the rat race. There's the rat race, and then there's the fast track. The goal is to get out of the rat race. And the way you get out of the rat race is by creating enough passive income by purchasing different assets so that all of your expenses or all your bills are paid. So if you lose your job, so you have a job, you have certain assets, you have bills, expenses, all of this stuff, right? The goal is to get out of the game by having your passive income take care of all your expenses. At that point, you're actually wealthy. At that point, you're wealthy. See, because wealth is kind of about time. Time. So if you have enough money to pay for everything for the next 6 months, you're wealthy for 6 months. Rich is something totally different. That's just usually a specific number or net worth. But wealth is measured in time. So if you have your passive income able to take care of all your bills, you're good. You don't have to work. All right. So a contingency plan, you're prepared. And any good leader has to have a plan B, a plan C. Should things not go this particular way, they have backups. Now, everything is not 100% foolproof. We are not gods. But a leader has a plan, a vision, and a strategy is also looking for what can or may go wrong and how to protect myself. And I think Paula knows a little bit about that. We were talking in our private community, he was mentioning about wills and trusts, for example. And one of those, of course, is a living trust. And to have your assets in them and so on, but we're not getting to that, but we're going to talk to me in the group. Passive or active, I just mentioned that. And of course, business. Whether or not that, if you understand the cash flow quadrant, at least you have the E, S, the B, and the I. The E is the employee quadrant, of course. It is very interesting right now with what's happening in the E quadrant. People not wanting to work, go back to work, so they say. And then the S quadrant, small business or specialized specialists, whether that be attorneys or whether that be doctors or small business operation, mom, pop shops, or even just individual, solopreneurships, if you will. Then of course you have businesses, traditionally big businesses, meaning that you can walk away from them and they're still growing and still earning income without you. All right, that's automation. I love automation. You're looking at a part of automation right now. But business, again, that's a measurable. Your finances. How's your money looking? When it comes to polygyny, that's one of the first things you want to look and make sure you're strong in that area. Because as a man, you want to attract, but we'll go over something else. Time management. So yeah, money and time, easily measurable because one, we are 24 hours in a day. For me, with my family, what I do, rotate every 24 hours. That's real simple. See my family, all of them, every single day. All right, today is Sunday, so we already had a family meeting. Every single Sunday, we have a family meeting. We call it a family council. We call it like a board meetings. Kind of like that. We have some things that are set up and structured and that we follow with different facilitators and everybody's learning different skills and so on, but every single week. But as a man, you know what your schedule is. Your schedule may be erratic, but as a man, you got a plan. And if you talk about marrying multiple women and you're on the road most of the time, maybe you're a firefighter, fire off 72 hours, on and then 72 hours off and so on and so forth. It's going to be challenging, especially if you have a job. Because that's your extra. If you have one wife, you married to your job, then you talk about taking on another one. It'll be challenging again. Passive income changes things around. See, it's one thing to be unemployed. It's another thing to be unemployable by choice. All right, by you choosing to be the boss and you choosing to get paid off of what you put together and what you do. That's more control. But time management, being fair and just, and pretty much being courageous. All right, because there's some challenges. You have men that say, you know what, I have these children, with my first wife, and we don't have any, with my second wife, and, so I need to spend more time to spend time with my children. That's tragic. No, you don't. You're actually the father. And as the man, the protector of the family, your children go with you. You make that schedule. You're married to women. You're not married to your children. Your children come to whatever house you choose. But when I say be courageous, then it's like all of a sudden you become you're dumb.
Pardon the interruption. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that you could thrive better in the community that's more supportive? Now, I already know the answer to that. But did you know that Outstanding Personal Relationships actually has a community that is supportive and where we really hang out a lot? It has a number of areas and things like, for example, I deal with the men in the Kings and Men section where we discuss a number of different men issues, whether it's polygyny related, parenting related, whatever it may be. This is where we communicate and connect.
And as an introvert, I love the idea of an online community. So we have that. And to be able to speak with like-minded people, speak with other wives, wives, whether you're an incoming wife, whether you're a first wife, you're a wife, period, in general, you only practicing monogamy, whatever the case may be, to be able to be in a community with people who understand what you're going through, understand any type of issues you have, and also being in a place where you have support from others, where it's not all over social media for everybody else to see.
Yes, and it is a safe space. So if you guys want to see us or if you want to connect with us, come to our community.
Indeed. And like they said, it's private. All right. So you don't have to worry about your stuff being all over the place or all on social media trying to find the comments and go scroll. We have the subjects. We have all this type of stuff. Just go to outstandingpersonrelationships.com. Look on the top of the page. Click on community. We look forward to seeing you there. Back to the video.